Okay, so how to get Zapier linked up to kvCORE so that you can then send cards through thanks.io. Now, at this point, you've probably already linked up thanks.io from an earlier video. And the next thing you want to do is go into the lead engine in kvCORE and go to where it says lead Dropbox. Click the green button. Right now it says choose lead source. And you're going to find your Zapier key right here in the middle. But the other thing you're going to need for the time being, because the Zapier app isn't public for kvCORE yet in the Zapier repository, you're going to need the actual link to link up Zapier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click where it says, what is this? And go to a help desk article. And trust me, I realize how many extra steps this is. I've asked the developer team to put this link directly somewhere in the dashboard, and you might also find that I put it somewhere near this video once it goes into the course, so it may be above or below the video, but this is where you'll find it right here. So once I get to the kvCORE Zap link, I'm going to click invite, and it's going to add it to my Zapier account right here. I'm going to click save and continue. I'm going to choose an account. Now, I already had one in here, but let's connect an account. You're going to need to click connect. And what it's going to ask you for is that API key we saw earlier. Where'd my browser go? Excuse me. So connect an account. Need my API key. And I'm going to go get that back out of kvCORE under that lead engine section. Paste it in. Yes, continue. And good practice is always to say RH kvCORE. So just name it, because you might find yourself doing this for a few people on your team, or maybe you're a team leader and you have multiple agents who have different zaps and so on. So just good practice is to name the account so you know what it is later. Save and continue. Okay, and what you probably just saw on the screen, I actually got a little bit of an error the first time. If you do that, try it again. It seems to do that here and there. And what I usually find with Zapier in general is that if you try again, it's either user error on your part, but in this case, you just try again and the server was fine. So it was kind of a false positive. So it pulled in my sample lead. Next, I'm going to go ahead and add thanks.io here. Remember, we've already done that in an earlier video. So if you type thanks.io, in the choose app, I click choose app and then I type up here thanks.io. Should be sitting there ready for us. And I have the two options. I can either send a postcard directly or add to a list, a recipient to a list. And the second option is the one that I recommend because it allows you to go back later and send more cards to the same people because it saves it in thanks.io. If you do just the send postcard, it may not be saved. You won't be able to go back and mail to those same people. That said, I'm going to show you both methods so that you fully understand it. So let's do the send postcard first. We're going to choose that account. Save and continue. And what we're going to do is we're going to start to fill out the fields here with our different variables. Now, our message, if I click right here, we can either directly write in a message that we want to send, and it'll obey the default handwriting in your thanks.io account. Or we can do message template and choose from one of our existing message templates. So a good practice, as you probably saw in an earlier video, is to create your message and image templates first and then start to link them up to campaigns and Zapier stuff like we're doing here. So I'll pick this message template, I'll pick this image template, and then I'll start to map over. Remember, I'm clicking on the right side to get the drop down. And what I'm pulling is the information that came over from kvCORE. So in this case, I need the full name, first name, space, last name. I could have also done those separate and left the full name blank. It'll work either way. My address, I'm going to go look for the street address here. And then we'll do our city, state, zip. Now, one thing I'm noticing, kvCORE actually did send this over here in a format that might break at thanks.io now that I'm looking at it. So what you're going to want to do, because it needs a comma between each of these, it needs a comma after the New York part. So what I'm actually going to recommend you do is put just the street address in this first field. So if you get an error, it could be this. If you didn't listen closely to me here and it doesn't work, put just the street address here and then manually put the city, state, zip in the fields down below, state. And there was a unit there in case you have a condo or a townhome or something too. If that was mapping over, you could have done that. And I will, just for good measure. Let's see if I can find that unit. Actually, it doesn't look like that's coming over, so it'll probably just go on line 1. Don't worry about that. I believe it's probably what kvCORE is going to do, is actually going to put it on line 1 for you. So you don't have to map it over to the unit in thanks.io. So now that that's set, I click continue, and I can send a test over to thanks.io. So that was the sort of manually pushing of a postcard. As I said in the beginning of this video, I actually recommend you do the add recipient. Because again, this allows you more flexibility moving forward as you're getting seller leads through your sell page on kvCORE or through other methods. You may find that you want to send them an initial card or an initial card or two, but maybe you also want to save that list so that when the next buying season comes around, spring comes around again, you say, hey, what about all those leads I got last year? You can then go ahead and send them all postcards. So I like the idea of using the second option where we're just going to go to mailing list right here. We're going to choose the existing mailing list in thanks.io. You may need to create a new mailing list first, right, if you don't have one in mind for this. So keep that in mind. You might want to go to the mailing list page and create a new list for this purpose. And what you'll do, you can just click manually add address. We'll call this demo, and then it'll ask you for the first address. You just X that out, and your list is created. So back here, we're adding it to the seller lead follow-up list, and then all the other steps that I just showed you are the same. You're going to map everything over. That's coming over from kvCORE. Now, one other pointer or tip I'll give you is that a lot of your leads may come in without addresses. So what you may want to do is use the filters option to only send zaps through in specific cases. This is also useful if you only want to send cards or add to a list for certain types of leads or prospects. So let's do that. I'm going to click the plus button. I'm going to set a filter. Only continue if. And then I have the option here to do a few things. I can do if seller lead, seller street exists, send this. So if there's no seller lead street there, then it won't send the card. Other filters I have, let's see what other options we have here. I could do if hashtag, and this is probably one you'll use. So if hashtag contains, and let's say you're hashtagging all your incoming seller leads for Tampa, Florida. You're doing like different seller campaigns for different cities, so you want to send different postcards for whatever reason. I don't know when you would do that, but just as an example, you could say Tampa seller. You'll only want this zap to continue and to add to the thanks.io list if the hashtag coming over from kvCORE fits these criteria. Now, the reason why this is cool, again, to add to the mailing list, just to give you some context in case it's not clear. When you send the test over, let me do that here. Let me get you back into a mailing list with one inside. The lead's going to come over looking something like this. And remember that the campaigns feature in thanks.io will actually let you send a series of postcards. So you want to make sure you choose that mailing list, the message, and the image, and tell it to send that first card on day 1 or 0. But you also have the flexibility now to send to anybody who has that list. You can send them a Christmas card every year. Right? You go down here, you go holiday, maybe an April Fool's card, right? Some holidays, 7th day of Hanukkah, just randomly picked. You can also not send campaigns, maybe send 1 or 2 initially, right, a month apart, but then go back later and quick send to everybody on that list, right? So we have our quick send tool here in Thanks, where you pick a image template, a message template, and then a specific list. So if you want to, again, like I said, prospect everybody next spring who came in as a seller lead in the previous year, you can. So I hope this makes sense. This was a demo of tying kvCORE up to thanks.io directly via Zapier.com as your leads come in.